Ladies and gentlemen, family, friends, and folks just trying to figure it all out, let me tell you something right now. You can chase all the money, you can build all the empires, you can rack up likes, followers, designer shoes, six-figure incomes. But if you don't have someone who genuinely loves you and cares about you, you're starving in a room full of food. That's a caring and loving person. Hey, they ain't just a blessing, they're a necessity. Life will knock you down, and not just once. Oh no, life don't believe in on and done. It hits you Monday morning with bills, Tuesday with betrayal, Wednesday with car trouble, and by Thursday, you're praying for Friday like it's the second coming. Love and care are often misunderstood in today's world. Somewhere along the line, people started confusing kindness for weakness and compassion for vulnerability. We've been trained to believe that being tough, ruthless, and emotionally distant is the mark of strength, and that showing love or care makes you soft. But let me break something down real quick. Love and care are not weaknesses, they are superpowers. When someone truly loves you, when someone genuinely cares about you, that's not a liability. That's a miracle walking in human form. Think about it. When life starts throwing its punches, when jobs get lost, dreams fall apart, and folks start switching up on you like seasons, what do you look for? Do you reach for a bigger paycheck? Do you run to your resume? Or do you start praying that someone somewhere still loves you enough to sit beside you when you're too broken to stand? Because at the end of the day, we're not built to fight alone. That's the secret. The ones who look the strongest are usually the ones who have the strongest support behind them. Someone's believing in them, loving them, rooting for them, even when the rest of the world forgets their name. Now, don't get it twisted. Love and care are not always loud. They don't always come dressed in roses and long speeches. Sometimes they come in the form of someone making sure you ate today. Someone remembering your important day even when the world is moving too fast. Someone asking how you're really doing and waiting for the truth, not just the polite "I'm fine." See, anyone can show up when it's convenient, but when someone shows up when it's inconvenient, when they got their own storm going on but still make room for you in the boat, that's not weakness. That's the rarest kind of strength you'll ever experience. We live in a culture that loves to show off. Folks want to be seen. They want attention, applause, recognition. But I'll tell you something real. The people who've truly made a difference in my life weren't flashy. They weren't loud. They weren't trying to prove anything. They were just there. When my heart was tired, when my energy was gone, when I couldn't see the next step in front of me. Their love, their care. That was the flashlight in the dark. That was the rope when I was slipping. That was the chair when I couldn't stand no more. You don't realize it until it hits you. Until you go through a season where you feel invisible. Where everybody's too busy, too caught up, too distracted. Start to feel like your existence is just background noise. And then out of nowhere, here comes that one person. No cape, no stage, just love in its purest form. They see you. They hear you. They check on you not because they have to, but because they want to. That right there. That's divine. That's real. That's powerful. And it takes real courage to be that kind of person. In a world that's numb, it takes guts to feel. In a world that's selfish, it takes strength to give. People think caring makes you vulnerable, but here's the truth. Caring makes you brave. It means you're willing to open your heart even when there's a risk it might get broken. It means you're showing up for people not because it benefits you, but because your soul won't let you stay silent. That's not weakness. That's the kind of courage this world desperately needs. Love isn't always romantic. Care isn't always poetic. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just someone staying up with you on a hard night. Sometimes it's a hand on your shoulder that says, I don't have all the answers, but I'm here. That's it. That presence, that loyalty, that unwavering belief that you matter, that's not something you can buy. That's not something you can fake. That's something you hold on to with everything you got. And the people who carry that kind of love, who walk around this world with that kind of heart, they're changing lives every single day, not with grand gestures, but with small ones, not with speeches, but with silence that feels like safety. They're not weak, they're warriors, warriors of the soul. And when they love you, when they care about you, they wrap you in a kind of strength that shields you from the worst parts of life. They remind you that you're not alone. They remind you that no matter how hard things get, somebody still sees the gold in you even when you can't. So if someone tells you that being loving is a weakness, smile at them, because they don't get it. They don't understand the kind of courage it takes to care in a world built on walls. They haven't felt the power of being seen on their worst day and still being loved like they're royalty. But you do. You know what it feels like. You know what it means. And maybe, just maybe, you can be that person for somebody else, because love and care, they're not just emotions, they're the force that keeps us going. They are not weaknesses. They are superpowers. Everybody out here trying to flex, that's just the truth. We live in a world where people love to show what they got. Fancy cars, luxury vacations, designer shoes, big houses, big chains. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with success. Go ahead, shine. You work hard, enjoy the fruits of your labor. Don't confuse someone spending money on you with someone being there for you, because those are two very different kinds of people. One's easy to find, the other's rare like a diamond in a drought. See, money can buy things. That's the easy part. It can buy you dinner, jewelry, gifts, all the stuff that looks good on Instagram. People love that. They love to say, look what he bought me, or look how she treats me. But here's my question. What happens when life gets real? When the shine fades? When you're sitting in the dark, not because you want to, but because that's where life dropped you? Can they still show up then? Can they still love you when there's no spotlight? That's the difference. That's where you separate the ones who just throw money and the ones who throw themselves into your life with both feet and say, I ain't leaving. Anybody with a credit card can buy something, but it takes heart to sit with somebody while they cry. It takes commitment to listen when someone's falling apart. You ever notice how quiet people get when you are no longer fun, no longer winning, no longer able to put on a smile? That's when you find out who's really in your corner. That's when you see who's there because they love you, not just what you offer. Not your image, not your perks. You. I've met people with millions who felt completely alone. I've also met folks with next to nothing who felt rich every single day because someone loved them in a way money never could. That's the truth right there. You could have the whole world at your feet, but if you don't have someone you can call at 3 a.m. when your world's falling apart, you're still empty. Because presence, that can't be bought. Real support, that don't show up with a receipt, that shows up with consistency. You know how powerful it is to have someone who doesn't leave when it's inconvenient, who doesn't say, call me later, when they hear your voice crack, who sits with you in your silence, not because they're trying to fix it, but just because they refuse to let you be alone in it. That's not a gift you unwrap. That's a gift you feel deep down in your soul. The kind of gift that whispers, you're not too much. You're not a burden. You matter. A lot of people will show up for the celebration. That ain't hard. Toasting with champagne, dancing when the check's clear, laughing when life is good. That's easy. But where are they when the party's over? When the room's empty? When you're sitting there wondering if you'll ever feel whole again? That's when you need someone who doesn't just bring stuff, but brings themselves, their time, their patience, their understanding. And don't mistake gifts for love. Some people hand out things to cover up the fact that they don't really know how to care. They say, here, I bought you this, and think that's enough. But deep down, you're craving something money can't touch. You want to be heard. You want to be valued. You want someone to see you without your armor on and still love what they see. That's the kind of wealth that doesn't fade. That's the kind of treasure you don't measure in dollars. It's easy to throw cash at a situation. It's easy to send flowers or buy a new gadget. But ask yourself, when's the last time someone sat with you, no distractions, no phone, no rush, and just said, talk to me? When's the last time someone remembered something you said weeks ago, just a small thing? But they remembered it because they were actually listening. That ain't expensive, but it's priceless. And you gotta learn to recognize the difference early. Don't get swept up by the glitz. Look past what people are giving and pay attention to what they're sharing. Are they sharing their time, their effort, their honesty? Because at the end of the day, love ain't what's in the bag, it's what's in the heart. Care doesn't always show up in a box. It shows up in behavior. You want to know if someone's really there for you. See how they act when you got nothing to offer but your truth. When you're not okay. When you're not smiling. That's when the real ones show up. The ones who don't walk away when things get uncomfortable. The ones who say, I got you, and mean it. That kind of love doesn't show off, it shows up. And that's why, in this world full of things you can buy, the ones who choose to be there for you, really be there, are the most valuable of all. Let me tell you something most people don't learn until they're flat on their back in the middle of a storm. You don't need a crowd. You need your person. See, everybody's chasing applause, chasing followers, chasing numbers. We've been tricked into thinking popularity equals love. That if we're surrounded by a bunch of people laughing at our jokes and cheering us on, then we must be doing good. But life will teach you different. Life will strip all that noise away and leave you sitting with yourself, looking around like, where'd everybody go? And that's when the truth walks in. You never needed a room full of people. You just needed that one person who wasn't going to leave when the music stopped. Crowds are loud, crowds are fun, but crowds are also fickle. Crowd will cheer for you one day and scroll past you the next. A crowd loves the image, not always the individual. They'll support you when you're trending, when you're winning, when you're glowing. But what about when you're tired? What about when your smile ain't as shiny and your steps ain't as strong? That's when you find out the difference between a fan and a friend, between people who came for the show and the one who came for you. You ever sit in a room full of people and still feel alone? That's one of the coldest feelings in the world, to have company but no connection, conversation but no care. And that's because a crowd can fill a room, but only your person can fill your heart. Only your person knows what silence really means. They know when you say, I'm fine, but your eyes say otherwise. Your person knows the version of you that doesn't post online, the version that cries, doubts, panics, overthinks, breaks down, and they love that version just as hard, maybe harder. There's something sacred about having your person. That one soul who doesn't need you to explain yourself every time. They just get it. You can be at your lowest talking nonsense, not making any sense. And they'll sit there like, I got you. Say whatever you need to say or don't say anything at all. I'm here. But that kind of presence, that's more powerful than 1,000 compliments. That's deeper than any applause. That's the kind of connection that holds you together when life is trying to tear you apart. See, when things fall apart, and they will, because that's just part of the deal, you're not going to call the whole crowd. You're going to reach for that one person, that one name in your phone, that one voice that calms you down before you even say a word, that one presence that makes you feel safe just by showing up. And you'll realize real quick that it's not about who's at your party. It's about who's still around when the lights go out and the cleanup begins. Crowds disappear when things get inconvenient. Your person stays. Crowds love the highlight reel. Your person sits with you in the blooper reel. Crowds will quote your success. Person will remember your pain. Crowds love what you do. Your person loves who you are. That difference, that's everything. That's the line between superficial and soul deep. You know what else? You don't need 50 people to validate your worth. You don't need a circle that looks good on paper. You just need one person to look at you and say, you're enough, even now, especially now. One person who believes in your dreams on the days you can't remember why you even started. One person who's not impressed by your image because they're already invested in your reality. That's your person. And when you find them, or if you already have, don't you ever take that for granted. Because that kind of bond doesn't come around every day. And when it does, it don't shout, just stays. The truth is, most people don't need more attention. They need more authenticity. They don't need more followers. They need more faithfulness. They don't need more likes. They need more love. Real, grounded, unshakable love that doesn't clock out when the mood shifts. The kind that says, I ain't going nowhere, even when you're at your most difficult. Because your person isn't in it for the good times only. They're in it for the you behind the curtain. The raw, messy, unfiltered you. And I know some people walk around saying, I don't need anybody. That's pride talking. That's pain talking. That's the voice of somebody who's been let down too many times, so now they build walls instead of bridges. But deep down, we all want that connection. That solid, unshakable person who's going to be there through all of it. Not just on the mountaintop, but in the valley. Not just for your wins, but for your wounds. So yeah, you can chase the crowd if you want. But when life gets heavy, when your soul needs rest, you'll find yourself wishing for just one person, one hand to hold, one voice to ground you, one heart that says, no matter what, I'm not leaving. Because in this loud, chaotic world, the rarest, most powerful thing you can have is your person. We talk a lot about money. We measure success by bank accounts, by salaries, by how big the house is and how new the car looks. People wake up every day chasing that paper, grinding hard, chasing titles, chasing status. And hey, ambition is a good thing, don't get me wrong. But let me tell you something nobody teaches in school, something they don't talk about on social media. The most valuable currency in this life. It's emotional support. That's what separates surviving from actually living. That's what gets you through the nights money can't fix. Because here's the truth. They don't print the kind of wealth I'm talking about. You can't swipe a card for it. You can't cash a check and buy it in bulk. Emotional support is rare. It's that deep, soul anchoring kind of presence. And you don't know how priceless it is until you're standing knee deep in life's mess. When your heart's heavy, when your mind's racing, when you feel like you're about to break and someone shows up, not to fix you, not to judge you, but to be there, that's wealth. That's real, grown folk riches right there. Think about it. You ever been going through it, like really going through it, and someone just said the right thing at the right time? Or maybe they didn't even say a word. They just sat beside you in silence and let you breathe. That kind of love can't be measured because they weren't giving you advice. They were giving you space. They were giving you understanding. They were giving you that quiet message that says, you don't have to carry this alone. And you know how powerful that is when you realize you're not alone anymore. I've seen people with everything money can buy, private jets, luxury, everything, designer clothes head to toe, break down because they didn't have anyone who truly understood them. Nobody to call at midnight. Nobody to talk to without having to put on a mask. Because that's what emotional support gives you. It gives you permission to stop pretending. It gives you the space to say, I'm not okay, and know the whole relationship won't fall apart because of it. And let me tell you something else. Emotional support is not always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's just someone remembering how you like your coffee, or checking in on you when they know you had a hard day, or texting you, hey, just thinking about you, when you didn't even realize how badly you needed to be thought about. That right there, that's a hug for your soul. That's not about grand gestures. That's about consistency. It's about intention. That's the stuff that keeps people going. Now here's the real kicker. Not everybody knows how to give emotional support. Some people will throw gifts at you when all you needed was their attention. Some people will give you advice when all you needed was their ear. Some people will tell you to be strong when what you really needed was to be seen in your weakness without being judged. So when you find someone who knows how to love you in your most human moments, man, hold on to them, because that's a rare breed. It's easy to show up for people when they're happy, successful, posting smiling pictures and laughing at parties. But emotional support shows up when the mood changes, when the energy's low, when the tears are real and the smiles are fake. That's when emotional support steps into the room and says, don't worry, I got you. No mask. No filter, just presence, just love. And let me say this too, if you've ever been that person for someone else, I hope you know how important you are, because being emotionally available is not weakness, it's strength. It takes courage to sit with someone's pain without trying to fix it. It takes heart to absorb someone's emotion without making it about you. And if you've been doing that for others, then you are the kind of rich the world desperately needs more of. Because at the end of the day, when the house is quiet, when the world stops clapping, when you're just left with your thoughts and your feelings and your real life, money can't hold you. Success can't comfort you. You need someone who sees you, someone who hears the words you don't say, someone who checks on your heart, not just your status, someone who loves you not just for your victories, but for your scars too. So chase your dreams. Work hard, build that life you've always imagined. But while you're climbing, don't forget to check your emotional bank account, because all the outer success in the world won't mean a thing if your inner world is bankrupt. And the ones who refill that account, the ones who lift your spirit, soothe your soul, and walk with you through the tough stuff, they are your greatest treasure. They are your true wealth, because emotional support isn't just valuable, it's everything. People love to talk about strong folks. She's so strong. He's unbreakable. They're built different. And you know what? That's beautiful. Strength is admirable. We celebrate it, we post it, quote it. But what nobody talks about, what gets overlooked every single time, is where that strength comes from. Because I don't care how tough somebody looks, how fearless they seem, how much they've accomplished. Behind every strong person, there's someone who loved them first. Someone who poured into them when they had nothing. Someone who held them together before they learned how to hold themselves. See, strength doesn't just show up one day. It gets built, it gets fed. It grows in the soil of love, kindness, of encouragement. That kind of strength, the real kind, isn't born in isolation. It comes from being seen, being believed in, being loved before you even knew what you were capable of. There's always that one person. Could be a parent, a grandparent, a teacher, a partner, a friend, somebody who saw the gold in you before the world ever noticed you were even shining. And that person, they matter more than you'll ever know, because they gave you the fuel to become who you are. They clapped when you had nothing to show but a dream. They listened when your voice was shaking. They prayed over you when you couldn't see your way out. They picked you up off the bathroom floor when you were too broken to get up on your own. And they didn't do it for applause. They did it because they loved you. They believed in you. And that belief, that love, is the foundation for everything strong you've built since. You think strength is about lifting weights or putting on a brave face? Nah. Real strength is built in the moments when someone loves you at your weakest. When they love you through the storm, not after it. When you've lost your way. When you've made the mistake. When you're down bad and feeling like the world forgot you. But they don't. They stay. They love you harder. They don't walk away when it's uncomfortable. That kind of love, that's what gives birth to strength. That's what teaches you that you can survive, that you can rise, that you can keep going no matter what life throws your way. And sometimes we forget to look back and honor those people. We get so caught up in who we are now, forget who helped us become. But let me tell you something, if you've got strength in you, then you've got love in your past. You've got somebody who spoke life into you when everything around you felt like death. You've got somebody who refused to let you give up. Somebody who whispered, "I see something in you," when even you didn't believe in yourself. And that love, that kind of love is holy. That kind of love is rare. That kind of love is the root of every strong branch that's grown from you since. And I know for some of y'all, that person is gone now. Maybe they passed on. Maybe you lost touch, maybe life moved in different directions. But their love, it still lives in you. It's still sitting in your chest, still holding up your back when things get heavy. That's how powerful love is. It doesn't disappear. It leaves fingerprints on your soul. It becomes part of your DNA. And every time you show up strong, every time you hold somebody else together, every time you say, "I got this," that's their love showing up again through you. You see, strong people don't come from perfect lives. They come from loving ones. Maybe not always ideal, maybe not always easy, but loving somehow. Maybe it was one good teacher who never gave up on you. Maybe it was a sibling who protected you when no one else did. Maybe it was a friend who saw through your silence and said, "You're not okay, and I'm not leaving you like this." That one person, whoever they were, they watered your roots when you didn't even know you were growing. And now look at you, standing tall, bearing fruit. But don't forget who held the hose before you ever touched the sunlight. It's easy to look at strong people and think they did it all on their own. But if you peel back the layers, you'll always find a love story underneath it. A quiet, loyal, deep kind of love. A love that didn't need recognition. A love that didn't broadcast itself. A love that just showed up. That's the secret right there. That's the story behind the strength. So if you are that strong person today, if you're out here showing up, leading, protecting, holding it down, remember, you didn't just get here. Somebody loved you into this. And if you're still fighting your way to that strength, still trying to figure out who you are and how to stand, find the one who sees you. The one who loves you before you're finished. Because that kind of love, that's the beginning of everything. You know, people got this idea that love and care always come wrapped in grand gestures, big speeches, loud declarations, flashy moves. That if somebody ain't shouting from the rooftops or making a scene, they must not care. But life, real life, will teach you otherwise. Care doesn't always speak loud, but it always shows up. And when you've been through some things, when you've felt life punch you in the gut a few times, stop listening so much for noise and start watching for presence. See, real care is quiet. It don't need an audience. It's not about spotlight or attention. It's about consistency. It's about how people show up when the cameras are off, when there's nothing to gain, When it's just you, your problems, and your silence, and suddenly there's someone sitting beside you not saying much but saying everything with their presence. Sometimes the loudest kind of love is the one that never makes a sound. It's the way they check if you got home safe without making a big deal out of it. The way they notice you're not okay, even though you said, "I'm fine." It's the way they remember little things, how you take your coffee, what days are hard for you, what songs make you feel something. That ain't noise, that's care. And it runs deeper than any headline gesture you can post about. People these days get caught up in what looks good. They want fireworks. They want speeches. They want social media declarations. But let me tell you something, care ain't always glamorous. Sometimes it looks like a text that says, "Just checking in." Sometimes it looks like bringing you food when they know you're too tired to cook. Sometimes it looks like sitting beside you when you're grieving without offering solutions, just holding space. Because real ones, they don't need to say, "Look what I did for you." They just do it. And they do it again and again. Not because they have to, not because they're trying to prove anything, but because they see you, because they care. It's quiet, but it's consistent. And in a world where folks say a lot and mean very little, that kind of quiet consistency is rare. It's gold. And sometimes we miss it. Sometimes we're so busy waiting on the big gesture, the perfect words, the movie moment scene, that we overlook the real thing happening right in front of us. We dismiss the person who keeps checking in, the one who keeps showing up, the one who always remembers. And it's not until they stop, until that silence becomes empty instead of comforting, that we realize that care had been there all along. It just wasn't loud. It was loyal. Let me tell you, people who truly care about you, they don't need to be told to. They just feel it in their bones. Your hurt becomes their concern. Your silence becomes their curiosity. Your happiness becomes their priority. They're not clocking in and out. They're not keeping score. They don't love you louder on good days and quieter on the hard ones. They show up in the rain, in the heat, in the storm. Whether you're winning or losing, they're there. You don't have to ask. You don't have to beg. They just are. And if you've ever had someone like that, someone whose love felt steady like a heartbeat, never needing to be announced, then you've tasted the kind of care this world doesn't offer often. That kind of care doesn't brag. It just remains. It doesn't walk in with a marching band. It walks in when everyone else walks out. You see, anybody can talk. Anybody can write pretty captions or say the right thing in front of people. But when you're sitting in the dark, when your world feels like it's falling apart, it's not the noise that saves you. It's the quiet hand that finds yours. The one that doesn't flinch at your pain. The one that sits with you in the mess, not because they know how to fix it, but because they refuse to let you face it alone. That's what care looks like. That's what love feels like. It's not a performance, presence. And if you start paying attention, you'll realize it's the quiet ones who love you best. The ones who may not say, "I love you," every single day. They never forget your important ones. The ones who don't shout their loyalty but would move mountains in silence if you needed it. That's a different kind of real. So stop waiting for loud. Loud is easy, loud is fleeting. Look for who stays. Look for who shows up, who keeps showing up, who cares even when you're hard to love, even when you're not saying much, even when you've got nothing to give back. Because that's the kind of care that don't quit. That's the kind that keeps people going. That's the kind that's felt louder than any words could ever say.